Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday. It is Bare Feet Live Day. It's Travel Tuesday. Today, we're going to be doing something very, very special. For those of you who know me, I'm Mikel Malazzi, host of the PBS series Bare Feet, where I get to travel and dance around the world. And ever since COVID hit, I've been starting these Bare Feet Lives once a week now. They were twice a week last year, but I thought once a week is all I can handle right now. There's a lot going on. But what I'm excited is we sometimes have a dancer and sometimes we have a traveler and sometimes we have a little bit of both. And today I'm excited to introduce you guys. If you don't know her already, she is a fantastic host of a fantastic series on public television. And before we get into that, I just want to say hello to everybody who's joining us. Let us know where you're coming from today, where you're tuning in from. We've got Matt from Kentucky. Thank you so much for being here. David, what's up? Hello. And so for everybody here, we are super excited to be talking about travel today and to be talking about another travel series on our favorite channels, Create and PBS. We've got John from New Hampshire. What's up? So without further ado, I want to bring in my dear friend. Her name is Kim Haas from Afro-Latinos with Kim Haas. What's up, girl?
Hey, hi, Michaela. Hi, everybody. Great to be here.
We have wonderful people. We have Crystal from Las Vegas. Aloha, mahalo. Thank you for being here.
Nice.
We got Diane from Long Island. The Ewans from DC. They are our supporters of our show. Thank you to the Ewan family. Without them, none of this would be possible. And Kim, you know, for our founder support and underwriting and sponsorship, none of our shows would be possible. Robert from Boston. What's up? My sister's in Boston, so you guys are neighbors. All right, Kim, I want to talk about why you're on here today, because you and I met years ago, and I'm so excited that your show is airing on public television, on Create, on local PBS stations across the country. Tell us what Afro-Latino Travels with Kim Haas is.
I am, but I have to first say thank you, Michaela. Michaela, you guys, I'm sure you know, you follow her. Michaela is just, she's like a little dynamo.
Crazy person.
A crazy little great dynamo. But she is absolutely fantastic and has been a supporter. And I'll tell you all what Afro-Latino Travels is, but I just want to again say thank you to Michaela for everything, because as she said, we met years ago. 5, 6, I think 7 years or something like that. Incredible.
Yeah.
And she's been just super supportive. So Afro-Latino Travels, I am so proud to be here with you guys, because it's been my labor of love. And it is a series that really celebrates and honors the more than 500 years of historical and cultural accomplishments of people of African descent in Latin America. So I wanted to bring, yes, thank you so much, because I wanted to be part of this movement to really recognize Afro-Latinos. And so that's what the show is all about. And whether you've seen it, you haven't seen it, please check us out, because I think you will be delighted and inspired and moved and educated. You'll be informed, all of that kind of rolled up into one. I know that's what Michaela does, but give us a chance, because I think we open the door and it takes a look at people who aren't normally seen on television. And that's what was so important to me, was giving honor to a whole community of folks across Latin America who we rarely seen, but have contributed greatly to the region. So that's the show in, a couple sentences there, but please check us out. I really think you'll enjoy it and you'll have a good time.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much. We're gonna, before we dive deeply into some of the people that you get to meet, I want to show a quick promo for everybody who's on here so you can get a taste of what Afro-Latino Travels with Kim Haas looks like if you haven't seen it yet. But before we do, let's say a quick hello to all of these amazing people that are joining us. We so appreciate your time. Eric from Texas, Victor from San Antonio. We got a lot of fans from Texas.
Cool.
From Kansas City. Maya, hello. Danny G, I hope you're here. Desiree. Desiree, thank you always for sharing with everybody. We have Nancy from Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Right.
From New York City. Eric Pridmore from Colbert, Oklahoma. We got some wonderful fans. I hope you all follow travel, because it's Afro-Latino Travels with Kim Haas on Facebook, right, Kim?
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes,
before we dive deeply into why I love this show and all the people that you get to connect with and all the stories you get to show, I want to show a little promo. By the way, we're Kathy from snowy Tucson. Holy
I know. I'm like, what?
And Rachel from Summit, New Jersey, fellow New Jerseyan over there.
Yay. Hi, Rachel. I'm in Jersey City, so we're not too far.
Neighbors. The ballet guy from Salem, Oregon. We are across the U.S. I love
it.
I love this. All right. Without further ado, I want to show you guys a little promo. It's just a little taste, if you haven't seen it yet, of Afro-Latino Travels with Kim Haas. Our lovely host, Kim Haas, here today. We're so glad that she's with us. So take a look. I love this show, and you will see why.
Afro-Latino Travels with Kim Haas introduces you to Latin America's vibrant and inspiring Afro-Latino communities.
Esta es mi identidad. Sí, soy negro, soy orgulloso de él.
Come with me on this incredible journey. Venga conmigo.
I love it. I love it. So before we even talk about the amazing people we just got to see a little bit of, what I was really moved by, because I've read a bunch of articles and interviews that you've done, and you've done a lot of events, and you and I have talked about this, where there are people from like Peru or people from parts of Latin America that didn't know about these stories of the African roots and the contributions. Can you talk a little bit about how impactful that's been for you and how that inspired you? Because I know that's been a huge part of the inspiration to make the show.
Yeah, no, thank you, Michaela. So I think one of the things that we learned about, and I've known in the years that I've been really studying Afro-Latino culture, is that sometimes people, as you said, in their own countries don't know about these communities. So take, for example, Mexico. I don't know if you guys have Mexican roots, or, shout out to Mexico. But so I have a friend actually here in New Jersey, and she's Mexican. So she's from Mexico. And I was telling her several years ago, I said, talking to her about Afro-Mexican culture, how rich it is, how incredible, and how Mexico has just started to really recognize these communities, but they've been there for centuries.
Yeah.
One of Mexico's early presidents, Guerrero, was the child of an Afro-Mexican. So wow. Mexico has a very deep history of Afro-Mexican culture and roots. But my friend, I was talking to her, and I, told her this several years ago, and she said, no, very innocently, no, there are no Afro-Mexicans. And I said, yeah, there are. And here's where they are, around Veracruz and Oaxaca. And I think she was really surprised. Surprised that she did not know this and did not have this information about her countrymen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not long after that, as life, funny things in life often happen. Within a week after that, she sends me an article on Afro-Mexican culture. And, so she's been so interested in learning about these communities ever since. And that's been the great thing. We can always learn.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I just want to pop up this beautiful comment from Elizabeth Jimenez. What an exciting show. Long overdue. Brava. Yes. 100%. 100%. And let's talk about the process. Like what got you, I love this story. What got you into your love of travel? Because this is a really special story.
Oh, well, gracias, Elizabeth. Thank you. So I tell the story because this is how it started. My grandmother, bless her heart, Cassie Keith, was about 4 feet 11 inches tall. So she's tiny, but she's like Michaela, a little dynamite.
That's my nonna too. She's 4'11" and she keeps moving. She keeps
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Something about these nonnas that, just keep you and inspire you. And so my grandmother, she grew up in the segregated South. I think some people are from South Carolina. So she grew up in Orangeburg, and my family has roots in South Carolina. And she grew up in the segregated South. And I would ask her when I was younger, you know, what was it like growing up in the South? What was your childhood like? And she just couldn't share it. She just would not tell me these stories. And I always wanted to learn because that's part of your family history, right?
Yeah.
That's part of your DNA.
Yeah.
But I think it was so painful for her that she would not share it. Yet my grandmother was one of the sweetest, kindest, most generous, outgoing person you'd ever meet. I mean, as soon as she met you, come here, Puddin'. And she was just lovely. And she always told me, never give up. I mean, she just epitomized a grandmother, you know, just a gorgeous human being. And so she took me to Mexico, to Acapulco, when I was 7, 8 years old. And I remember someone taught me to count in Spanish, 1 a 20, 1 to 20. And I remember being in the lobby and I loved it. Yeah. I liked it a lot. And the people were so warm, and it just got me on this trip. So I can always, at this point, I don't remember when I was not studying Spanish, involved in languages. I kept studying it in school, in college. My major, undergraduate and graduate school was Spanish.
And I lived in other languages too. You don't, not just Spanish and English.
Sí, parlo italiano, parlo portugués, yeah. And but I think that experience of traveling, and my grandmother took me on trips later. I see some people from Hawaii. My grandmother took me to Hawaii, and she always had this lust for life.
Yeah.
She just had this lust and joy for life. And so that got me started on this journey, and then learning, and I started in college to learn more about the African diaspora. And the Middle Passage was when, for people who don't know, that's when enslaved Africans were brought to the Americas. And just one thing, and then I'll let you know, remember, folks, if you don't know this, there were approximately 12 million Africans made the journey, that Middle Passage, survived it, right?
Wow, wow.
But more than were brought to Central America, the Caribbean, and South America than what is now present-day the United States.
Right.
Canada, right? So remember, that population is deep and strong in the Caribbean, in Central America, South America, but unfortunately, they haven't been recognized.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that in Cuba, you know, when emancipation happened, when Cuba was freed, there were people who were enslaved directly off from Africa who became free. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I think as Americans, we don't realize how long it was that enslaved people were still being brought over, how late.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It might have been formally, Honduras. I'm sorry, I got excited. Because we're talking about Honduras now.
Yeah, the Garifuna people, we're planning on dancing with that. I mean, it's endless. It's endless.
I know.
It's endless.
I know.
And what's amazing is you really tapped into something that, like you said, there hasn't been representation, or enough representation, not nearly as much. Mm-mm. You as a host, let's talk about that a little bit, you know, and then on top of that, it's like, this is a really amazing time for the show to come out. Can we talk about that?
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the comments are great. I mean, everybody's from all over. I see Garifuna, and somebody's mentioning Africa, and I mean Cuba. It's tremendous.
So Africans have been in Mexico for 500 years. Yep.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, and there are parts of Mexico I just want to share, like around Puebla and many of the communities around there, where they had more people of African descent than those of what is now, you know, European descent in Mexico. So what you think about Mexico has changed, you know?
Yeah.
And it's important, and they have a really rich history. So anyway, So it's pretty
cool. Honduras in the house. Thank you, Suzette, for being. And Suzette, we met, or we've been connected, and we're trying to do, because there's a huge Garifuna population in the Bronx.
Yes.
And we have been wanting to do a new season of Bare Feet in NYC. Pre-COVID, we were planning on it. Now we're hoping to do it post-COVID, but it's an incredible community and so many wonderful dances, as you know, Kim.
Yeah, no. You know what? And the Garifuna in Honduras and Nicaragua, Belize, and then a little bit in Guatemala. But they have, I mean, talk about a culture that has just survived despite the odds. Because I think that's one of what I think is glorious about the African tradition, Afro-descendant communities is that despite these challenges, despite resistance, I mean, they just keep creating incredible culture.
Yeah.
And so much of what people love about Latin America, whether, it's samba, talking about you with dance, samba, or, the roots of salsa, bomba in Puerto Rico, rumba in Cuba, I mean, all over is tied directly to Africa.
Yeah.
So, despite all the hardships, that's what I love about these communities is that they just keep going.
It's amazing.
And creating.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, we saw that little promo. Can you tell us a little bit about the people that our viewers are going to meet? Because some amazing people we get to meet. For those of you who haven't seen the show yet, Afro-Latino Travels with Kim Haas. It's an amazing show. Check your local listings on your local PBS station. It's also on Create.
Yes.
And it's soon coming to, I hope, the PBS app and pbs.org coming soon. But tell us about some of these amazing people we get to meet because, again, you're highlighting Afro-Latino people and the culture, not just like a destination. That's what I love about the show is you're really connecting with people who are so, I mean, artists and athletes and politicians. It's just amazing. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, thank you. So the 2 episodes we shot are in San Jose, the capital. I don't know if there are any Ticos joining us today. Those are from Costa Rica. But we shot in San Jose for the first episode, and then in Limon on the Caribbean coast for the second episode. And in San Jose, as Michael I think was mentioning early, I dance in Parque de España with Shadi Crawford Clark, and she is just delightful. And I think, as you were, Michaela, you were talking about the importance of representation. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to show Shadi has, she's ballet training, and you can see it in her moves and her grace. And I have to tell you, when I did the piece and we're in the park, I had tears in my eyes after we finished shooting that segment because of the joy that I had. I thought about how Blacks have been told that you can't be ballet dancers. Mm-hmm. I thought about so many things and how gracious she was, how kind. We just had fun, and I hope you see that in the segment. But so I thought about that.
You see her passion for dance. She's
yes.
just like, I love dancing.
Yes.
She's in this park. It's
yes.
like an improvisational mixture of like balletic contemporary with Afro
yes.
Caribbean influence, and
yes.
She's gorgeous.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes,
oh.
yes, and yes.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
We don't see people like Shadi on television. Mm-hmm. We don't see them on Univision, I'm just going to say it, or Telemundo. And so it's so important for me. That's how that's how I got the idea for the show, is because we're looking at at least a quarter of Latin Americans being of African descent, at least a quarter, right? And that depends on how people self-identify.
Right.
And then in the United States, the number's about the same. So we're looking at, again, at least a quarter. Yeah. And so to have this significant part of the population and not see them is disheartening. So we want to be part of that change. But so Shadi's there. And then in the beginning, I interviewed Quince Duncan, mm-hmm. who was, he just celebrated 50 years of writing, of literature. Yeah. And he reminds me of one of my great uncles. I mean, he just has that. I felt like as soon as I saw him, he just reminds me of one of my mother's uncles. And I felt really connected to so many of the people. Yeah. But Quince, he's been writing for 50 years. And before Quince, I mean, think about this. Costa Rica, no one had written about Afro-Costa Ricans in Costa Rican literature. Mm-hmm. So think about what that means for a group of people to not have your story told, to not be included in your country's.
I'm getting goosebumps just saying that. Yeah.
Literature. It's as if you don't exist. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so he was the first one to write about the Afro-Costa Rican experience. And so he was, without a doubt, you had to have, if you do a show about Afro-Costa Ricans, you have to include Quince Duncan. And he is so revered and celebrated and honored. as he should be. And so he starts off our San Jose show. And then, we have some fun, and I meet with Tariq Soto. Tariq is one of Costa Rica's best gymnasts. He's a lovely young man. I mean, just lovely. And I get on the trampoline with Tariq. I get up, I get down.
You did it, girl. You got it. You did. You got some air.
Yeah.
And then we meet his amazing parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what? And the takeaway with his parents, his mother is one of the first doctors, Afro-Costa Rican doctors. And so think about that legacy, right? You grow up with that. His father's an agronomist, and his father's partly, I think, was from Cuba, or his family's roots traced from Cuba. So I find that all fascinating. I love it.
Yeah.
And his parents say that they, their goal as parents was never to raise this incredible gymnast. They say that they just wanted to raise a great human being.
Which they did, and they are.
Yes.
And he's a sweet kid.
Yes.
Very talented.
Yes.
Very talented. I want to interrupt a little bit, because for everybody who's just joining us, I want them to understand where they could find more information about you. This is Kim Haas. She is the host and executive producer and creator of an incredible show called Afro-Latino Travels with Kim Haas. If you go to travelswithkimhaas.com, you can find where the show is airing on your local PBS station, on Create, and soon, hopefully, on the PBS app and at pbs.org, so you can watch anytime. Highly recommend watching this. What I love about being part of public television is our programming is not only entertaining, but educational and informational. And what we've found is we have a lot of schools and teachers that have been using our programs to help with their kids, especially with remote learning of how do you keep kids engaged to learn about other parts of the world and other cultures? Yes. Here are these fun shows. And Afro-Latino Travels with Kim Haas is a perfect show for either your kids or your students, because, again, it's like an underrepresented population in the media, an underrepresented population in our textbooks. Let's be real. These are amazing stories, and for kids to feel represented from the Black diaspora and African diaspora, it's huge. It's huge. So go to Travels with Kim Haas and check out all the wonderful things. And you have an event, a virtual event coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we do. Where this talks about how you putting the show together, and so we're actually on Thursday, January 28th at 6:00. We will be doing a webinar with Hudson County Latino Foundation, which is our fiscal sponsor for the show. So they help us with moving the show along and some other financial concerns, which we'll get into in terms of fiscal sponsorship. But the nice thing is we're doing it in English at 6, and then in Spanish, in Espanol, at 8:30.
I love that.
Yes. So I'm excited about that.
So that's a nice segue. Let's talk about what it's like to make a show that you really believe in.
Yes.
That no one else is going to give you a chance to make. That you believe in so much, and it needs to live on PBS and public television. What is that process like? I know what it's like.
Yeah.
Well, what has that process been for you like? And then also, how much satisfaction are you getting right now knowing that it's come to fruition?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So Michaela, and for those of you, if you're new to just the process of bringing a show, like you said, to fruition, to television, for public television, for PBS is, I'm trying to challenging. Let me say that. Because I never,
a little daunting, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say daunting, but I don't want to, let me say this, I don't want to ever discourage anyone. So if anybody's out there thinking about and you've got an idea for a show, I would always say go for it. And I know Michaela's been so supportive to so many people. But so this has been a 10-year process. I had the idea because I was frankly tired of watching Telemundo and Univision and not seeing anybody who looked like me, and all these amazing people, these friends that I have. I'm originally from Philadelphia. Woo-hoo. And so I have friends in Philly who are Afro-Venezuelan, who are Dominican, and Dominicans, you Black, you have African heritage, and Puerto Rican and Cuban, and I'm going to, in Venezuela, I went to Caracas and met with my Afro-Venezuelans brothers. And I've been, to Colombia and throughout Latin America. So I'm seeing all these people in Havana. I'm walking the streets, and half of them look like we could be related.
Yeah.
And then you turn on the television, and there's no one absolutely no one, zero,
right.
zero. And I just decided, I came up with this idea, you know what? I'm not going to wait for Telemundo Univision to bring these stories to the screen. I'm going to show these people that I'm meeting, that I'm reading about, with incredible talents, the humanity and the generosity, and bring them to television. And so I came up with the idea. That's probably the easiest part. And then it's, you have to look for, as producers, as hosts, we have to come up with the show and the funding. And so that's where it got so challenging, because 10 years ago, the term Afro-Latino was not really that well. It's not as known as it now and used as it is now, as commonly used. And it's still, people are still like, what? But
right.
when I would say, oh, I've got the show about Afro-Latinos, and then it would be like, wait, a couple seconds is like.
Silence.
Yeah. Silence is like, what? Yeah. So then I'd explain people in Latin America of African descent. Oh, okay. And then it was like, nothing happening. And so, I see your Michaela, your Vejigante mask back there. And and
he's my protector.
That's right. My protector. Yeah. And so, I approached a lot of these countries about shooting in those countries, and just didn't get the support, and talking to companies, and would you support this kind of show, and just didn't get anywhere, and airlines. And Michaela, is one of those people. You got to have a Michaela in your life, folks. I hope you do.
Well, let's preface this by saying I'm a pain in the ass. That's all I have to say.
But you need I'm not going to say that. I'm
sorry. This is usually G-rated, but I had to say a pain in the butt. I'm definitely a pain in the butt.
But everybody needs a cheerleader. Let me tell you, folks. You need a cheerleader. And Michaela was always like, at some point, you got to just go. You got to just go for it. You got to do it. And it so happens, Michaela and I were talking about New York Times travel show.
Which we missed. It should be this weekend coming.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So we're missing that. But I actually, at the New York Times travel show a couple of years ago, I met somebody from the Costa Rica Tourism Board. And at that point, I was like, okay, I guess I got to do this on my own. I've got to spend the money on my own. Sometimes when you have a dream, you just got to take those first steps.
You're investing in yourself.
Exactly. Yep. And invest in it. And Costa Rica, which may not be, when you think Afro-descended, Costa Rica may not be first on your list, right?
Right.
You think in Cuba, Brazil, but Costa Rica liked it. And then, Desiree said they're listening now. Thank you.
They are.
And so Costa Rica liked it, and I had a great supporter at the PR agency of record for Costa Rica at the time, Arlette. And Arlette was just wonderful. And Arlette said, we believe in this. We're going to fight for you for Costa Rica tourism to help you with the in-kind support you need. And she just liked it a lot. And again, that's when supporters and cheerleaders and champions make all the difference, like Michaela, like Arlette. And so we wound up shooting in Costa Rica. And I have to tell you guys, we shot there during the rainy season, which was June, and for 13 days, and it rained only one day, and that was the last day.
See, sun was shining on you for a reason.
That's exactly what I say. Somebody was looking down on us and blessing us.
Your grandmother.
Yes. Mm-hmm. My grandmother. Thank you, Michaela. And we just it was just an incredible experience. And I just one other last thing that you were asking about, we had people on the crew, because some of the crew members were from Costa Rica and some were from the US, but there were members of the crew who did not know about Quince Duncan, who did not know that 5,000 Afro-Costa Ricans built the Costa Rican Railroad. And then Quince tells me that after the 5,000th person died, they stopped counting.
Wow.
Yeah, so think about that. And so I say we owe a debt of gratitude to those 5,000 plus people who gave their lives to build the railroad. I mean, you think about how significant transportation is. It moves people from A to B. It moves products and services, goods from A to B, and how important that railroad was. And so to know that Blacks built the Costa Rican Railroad, were involved in the Panama Canal and the construction, in Puerto Rico and San Juan, in the forts, that, you know, El Morro and those things. Blacks have been involved in the basic infrastructure of countries. So I think that's important to recognize.
Well, I'm so, and again, I'm proud of you because I've seen you from the very beginning, and you've seen me too. We've seen each other grow together. We really have, because you and I met at one of the American Public Television Fall Marketplace, which is where all come together. All the programmers come together, and we're all figuring out how does this system work, and we figure it out, and we both figured it out. And I'm so glad that your show is airing. It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's so funny because Kim, you're like, you know, you're not shy at all, but you're also like, you're very humble. I'm very loud and like super outgoing, and you know, I'm like the, you know, there's always like events, and I know I'm just the loud person. You're like super subdued. And then I see like parts of the show and I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing. You're an amazing host, amazing on camera. And you just kind of light up. As soon as the camera turns on, you literally light up, and I just love it so much. So for everybody on here, please check out Afro-Latino Travels with Kim Haas. We are so lucky to have Kim on here today. Before we open up for questions from the audience, from our viewers, because I want them to be able to ask you directly what they have questions about. But one last thing I want to talk about is, you know, a lot has happened in the past year.
Yes.
A lot has happened in the past year. And I truly believe things happen for a reason at a certain time. And there is a really special reason why your show has come out now. Can you talk about, you know, how, like, I'm sure you felt like all these pieces sort of falling together all at once.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, I think, that's a good point is, you know, with the pandemic, we had some other projects not television related that we work on, and we're in the New York City area. And so those all, for so many people, you know, they were suspended or, you know, and so it actually, I think one of the silver linings of this period that we're living in is that it gave me the chance to finally really dedicate, you know, to editing those episodes. And, you know, I just talked to, you know, our distributor, Nita, in January, February about it. But this is before, you know, we knew about the pandemic. Well, we knew about what was happening in China, but it hadn't really touched us yet, you know, in the US. And so I started talking to them like, you know, what do I need to do? And got some direction. But then still working on these projects, I was so busy doing the other stuff. And then it was like March 11th, I know, when everything just kind of stopped over here. And then, you know, after you pick yourself up, you know, because you're like, what is going on? And what are we going to do? And then you realize, wait a minute, let's get these episodes going. And so I think that would be the definite silver lining for us, was that I think with obviously the killing of George Floyd, which was just so horrendous. And, you know, just thinking about it, it just, I mean, I feel like I'm on the verge of crying. It's tough. I mean, it's tough. And I think that we also hopefully will remember that communities go through something similar in Latin America. And without, you know, there was someone, and I don't want to steer off of what you were saying, Michaela, but there was a gentleman who, I mean, it's just, it's gruesome what happened to him. But in Rio, I believe, in Brazil, on November 20th, which was Black Consciousness Day in Brazil, and he was just, I think, beaten and lynched or something in a supermarket in Rio. And so I say that to say that communities are still, it's not just in the United States, Latin America, and Black communities and Blacks in Latin America are still struggling. And it's still hard. And, but I think this time has also been helpful in that getting the shows on the air, hopefully showing the humanity, because that's what's missing when you do something like that, when you kill someone so blazingly, as George Floyd was. I think about this man in Rio, and what Blacks in Brazil go through, and in Cuba and Colombia. And remember, the Black Lives Matter movement is living and breathing in these other countries. And so I think the timing, hopefully we can bring some spark and inspiration, because we're showing these people that have contributed mightily. I mean, and they've given so much of themselves, and they deserve to be honored and celebrated and seen for the humanity and what they represent. So I hope that this can be some kind of, I don't even want to say balance, but another look at the African diaspora and how rich it is, how incredible it is. And again, I just have to thank Michaela for always being so supportive of communities. Before it was the in thing to do. You were, years ago, and I think that's just part of your, as we say, DNA.
Thanks.
But before 2020, when everybody, for various reasons, gets on board, and I hope that it is genuine, but you've always been that way, as long as I've known you. And so I hope that we bring light and joy, and that people think differently after watching the shows, maybe about the African diaspora, that they think and realize there are Blacks in Costa Rica. And this is just the beginning for us. So, this is just the first of many.
I love it. I love it. I love it so much. I'm going to open this up. If any of you who are tuning in, if you have any questions, write a comment. I'll pop you up, and Kim will answer your question as we bring them up. But as people are starting to put questions in, look, we can't travel right now.
Right.
Can't travel internationally. But what are you hoping to come from this sort of reckoning of not traveling, but also maybe with the opening of seeing cultures differently and different destinations differently? What's your hope for the future of travel, Kim?
Oh, you know what? I really hope that our show, your work, that people will think differently if they think about going to Costa Rica, that maybe you'll go to Limon for a day, or, we meet with Daniel South, who's a chocolate maker, producer, farmer, I should say, south of Little community, south of Limon, and go to Daniel's farm. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's like heaven on earth. It's paradise. Or go to Selvin's restaurant and make rondon or rundown. And if you see the Limon episode, which, you can catch, he talks about that pura vida, Daniel. And so
we love Dan.
So I think it's so great and so important to try and support these communities, whether it's in, what I love is the performing arts. So in art, dance, music, go see a show, because these communities, just like, unfortunately, the African-American community in the United States, suffer when there are economic downturns, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what they say, when the U.S. gets a cold, the African-American community gets pneumonia or whatever it is, economically. And it's the same thing in Latin America.
Yeah.
So they experience a greater hardships economically. So I think when you can travel, please consider, or buy a painting from Adrian. Adrian is not of African descent, and he's in the San Jose episode, but he paints exclusively Costa Rican, Afro-Caribbean children, and he's fabulous. And I love his style, and being with him was just wonderful. So I think if we can support these communities economically, that will also be so important.
Yeah, yeah. We have some great questions. I'm going to pop some up.
Sure.
We have our first one from Diane. Will you be filming from any schools, youth programs abroad? Which I think you featured in your second episode, right?
So we actually, on the Limon episode, we have a dance scene. So, I do love to dance.
Mm-hmm. Me
and
too.
So, yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah. So we have a dance scene in both episodes, actually. But in Limon, to answer Diane's question, we go to a community center, Kun Limon, and I'm dancing, and it's I think it's pretty neat because I think back to that day, and it was great to meet some of the young folks there, and you get a sense of how dance has, you know this, Michaela, but how it strengthened the young folks, how it gives them a chance to express themselves. And it was really a lot of fun too. And so that's in the, I don't know if I answered your question, but we did shoot there in Limon. We are working on upcoming episodes in a variety of countries. So, you know, Honduras, I hope we're talking to now, and Ecuador. And I always want to go to schools and see what young people are doing and what's working, and show a different side of education or programs that are having great impact. So I hope that answered your question, Diane.
Thank you, Diane. From the ballet guy, Kim or Michaela, any plans to explore Bayean cuisine? Now, I know Kim has been working on an episode in Bahia.
Yeah. You know what? We were supposed to film in Salvador. So that is, you know, Salvador is the center of Afro-Brazilian culture. And we were supposed to film there actually last year during the summer, August, but obviously because of the pandemic, we weren't able to. I am just enamored with Brazilian culture. I was in Brazil, Michaela knows, 2 years ago. So this time, oh my gosh, 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I was in Rio, and then I was supposed to go to Salvador last year for a scouting trip, but because of the pandemic, I wasn't able. So we're hoping that top on our list is to be in Bahia. I'd love to be in Salvador. I mean, you talk about some amazing folks. Goodness. Salvador is so, and Bahia is just so incredible. So yeah. I'm hoping that we can get there sooner rather than later, and that you guys will see some new episodes before too long. But Brazil, unfortunately, right now is also really suffering with the pandemic. And we want to make sure before we do any traveling that everyone is safe and preferably vaccinated. But Salvador is right up there. I'm looking at it every day and just dreaming.
Same, girl. We were supposed to film Carnival in Bahia.
Woo! That's hot. That's hot.
We will. It'll come back. I in a few years. I think it'll be, you know, I think especially with what we do, we really engage with people so much that it's hard to film standing 6 feet apart. Like I need to dance and sweat and hug and touch and you know, make music with people, and that's just going to be a little while.
Yeah,
a little while.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of you are asking where to find more information. If you go to travelswithkimhaas.com, all of this information will be up there. Kim, is that right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You can always, you know, message us on email, Facebook, whatever. We will respond as soon as possible.
Yeah. So go to travelswithkimhaas.com to find out when it's airing on your local PBS station, when it's going to start to be available on the PBS app and pbs.org, and it's airing on Create, and of course in celebration of Black History Month, and every day that we should be celebrating Black culture and Afro-Latino culture. It is a beautiful show. Oh, we have Suzette says, my nephew is mayor of La Ceiba. Wow. Contact. So that's amazing. Thank you, Suzette. Yes, if you want to dance and make music and eat with the Garifuna people, girl, I might reach out to you too. Eventually, we'll be filming there too. But I just want to thank you so much, Kim, for everything, for being here. I want to play that promo one more time because I know a lot of people came in after we played it, and I want people to see how beautiful this show is, how vibrant it is, how effervescent you are, and how just joyful this series is, and I just love it so much. So I'm going to play it one more time, and then we'll say a quick goodbye to everybody. So check this out. It's Afro-Latino Travels with Kim Haas.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Afro-Latino Travels with Kim Haas introduces you to Latin America's vibrant and inspiring Afro-Latino communities.
Esta es mi identidad. Sí, soy negro, soy orgulloso de él.
Come with me on this incredible journey. Venga conmigo.
Kim Haas, thank you so much. Everybody, please tune in to Afro-Latino Travels with Kim Haas. Go to travelswithkimhaas.com to find out more. Kim, thank you so much.
Michaela, grazie.
Gracias, obrigada.
Obrigada.
Thank you. Everyone will be back next week. We are super excited. You know, Travels with Afro-Latino Travels with Kim Haas. You have 2 episodes that are available. We hope you all watch them. And Kim knows that I've been working really hard. We have 2 new episodes of Bare Feet coming out. It's a 2-part special. You're going to find out more next Tuesday on our Bare Feet Live. But I couldn't be more prouder. And I'm so excited. So Kim, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Michaela. Thank you, everybody.
Week. Be well, everybody. Be safe. Be well.
Yes.
Wear your masks, please. Be careful. Tune in to your favorite PBS shows like Afro-Latino Travels with Kim Haas. And we'll be dancing next week. And thank you so much again, Kim. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Adios.
Adios.
Adios.